There is a shallow clay dish sitting behind my neighbor's garden shed, half full of dirty rainwater, and every summer evening for the last 8 years I have watched the mosquitoes fly straight to it instead of to us on the porch. The dish is not there to keep the mosquitoes away. It is there to invite every last one of them in, because Mrs. Sato learned a long time ago that you do not fight a mosquito in the air. You kill her children in the water before they ever grow wings. So why does a woman in her 70s with a $2 dish and a spoonful of powder have a mosquito-free yard, while I spent 6 summers and hundreds of dollars getting bitten anyway? My name is Ju Wang. Mrs. Sato has lived next door to me for 11 years. She is Japanese. She is in her 70s, and she keeps the tidiest garden on our whole street. A little maple tree, a row of chrysanthemums along the fence, a small stone basin where the water trickles and moves and never sits still. In all the summers I have known her, I have never once seen her slap her own arm. Her grandchildren run through that yard barefoot at dusk, right when the biting is worst, and not one of them ever comes inside covered in welts. For years, I thought she was just lucky. I was not lucky. I did everything the stores told me to do. I bought the citronella candles and lined them up on the railing. I bought the plug-in machines. I bought the little clip-on fan you wear on your belt. I bought the spray cans and I soaked my arms and my ankles until my skin stung. And I still came inside every night with 3 or 4 fresh bites. One summer, I gave up and hired a company. A truck came once a month and fogged my whole yard with something that smelled like a swimming pool. It cost me $80 a visit. The mosquitoes were back in a week. I was paying hundreds of dollars a season to lose the same fight over and over again, and I was losing it in front of my own children. Then one evening, I swallowed my pride and walked over to the fence and asked her straight out. I said, "Mrs. Sato, please, tell me what you are doing that I am not." Quick word before I go further. The old methods my family uses, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book you can buy in our pinned comment below. The book is the long version. If you want it, it is there. I will not mention it again. She laughed when I asked her. Not a mean laugh, a kind one, the way you laugh at someone who has been looking everywhere for the glasses sitting on top of their own head. She said, "Ju, you are trying to win the war in the sky. The war is not in the sky. The war is in the water, and you lost it 3 weeks ago without ever knowing there was a fight." Then she set down her tea, and she took me around her garden in the last light of the evening and showed me, one thing at a time, exactly what her family has done for 3 generations back in Japan, and now here on our street. It cost her almost nothing. It took her almost no time, and from that night on, I have not bought a single can of bug spray. So let me walk you around that garden the way she walked me. Because the first thing she made me understand, before she showed me one single trick, was where the mosquitoes were actually coming from. And I had it completely wrong. I thought they came from the woods behind our houses. I thought they blew in on the wind off the ditch down the road. I thought they were somebody else's mosquitoes drifting onto my grass. Mrs. Sato shook her head at every guess. She said the mosquito that bites you on your own porch was born on your own property, in your own yard, in water you walk past every single day and never once look at. And that is the question I want you to sit with, the same one that kept me awake that night. If they are not coming from the woods, and they are not blowing in from down the road, then what is it in my own tidy little yard that is hatching hundreds of them every week right under my nose? Here is the answer, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Every mosquito that ever bit you was born in standing water. Still water. Water that sits in one place and does not move for about 4 days. That is the whole secret of her whole method, and it is the thing the spray companies will never put on a billboard. A mosquito does not need a pond. She does not need a lake. She needs about a bottle cap of water held still for 4 days. That is all. Think about how little water that really is. The little saucer under a flower pot, the fold in a tarp over the woodpile, a clogged gutter holding half a cup of rain, the dog bowl you forgot in the corner of the yard, an old tire, a kid's toy left out in the grass, a wheelbarrow tipped just enough to catch the rain. Any one of those is enough. A single female mosquito will lay 100 eggs, sometimes 300, on water you could hold in your cupped hands. The eggs hatch into little wriggling worms that live in that water for about a week. Then they grow wings, and they come find you. So here is what I was doing wrong, and what almost everybody does wrong. I was fighting the grown mosquito. The one already flying, the one already on my arm. Mrs. Sato said that is the one fight you can never win, because by the time you see her, She is already old, and she has already laid her own 100 eggs in some dish of water 3 houses down. You swat one and 100 more are hatching behind you. You fog the whole yard, and you have killed the ones flying tonight. But the water is still full of eggs, and in a week there is a brand new army. And the truck does not come back until next month. You are always 1 week behind. Forever. Now put the two ways side by side. My way cost $80 a visit, and a yard that smelled like a pool and mosquitoes back in 7 days. Her way costs about $17 for a whole summer, and a spoonful of it lasts a month. My fog killed everything it touched. It killed the honeybees on the clover, it killed the butterflies. Worst of all, it killed the dragonflies and the little fish and the frogs. And those are the very creatures that eat mosquitoes for free, all day, every day, and ask nothing from you. I was paying good money to kill my own best helpers. Her way kills one thing only, and I will show you how in a minute, and it never once touches a bee. And this is the part that turned my head all the way around. The strange truth at the center of everything she does. You do not repel the mosquito. You do not chase her. You invite her. You build her the most tempting nursery on the whole block, the darkest, stillest, swampiest little pool she has ever dreamed of, and you set it right there in the corner of your yard on purpose. And then you make sure that nothing, not one single egg, ever crawls out of it alive. You stop trying to keep her away from the water. You pull her toward the water, your water, the water you control, and you end it there. That is why Mrs. Sado's garden looks the way it does. It is not tidy by accident. There is no still water anywhere in it that she has not accounted for. That pretty stone basin by her door is not just for looks. The water in it trickles and moves all day, and moving water cannot breed a mosquito. In her big water jar by the shed, she keeps 3 tiny silver fish, the little rice fish they call medica back home, and those fish eat every wriggler the moment it hatches. And those chrysanthemums along her fence, the ones I always thought were just her flowers, turned out to be the whole secret of the last trick she showed me. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let me show you exactly what to do in the order she showed me, so you can do the same thing this weekend. The first thing, and it costs you nothing, she called walking the line. Once a week in the cool of the morning, you take an empty coffee can or an old jar and you walk your whole yard, slowly, and you tip out every bit of standing water you find, every saucer under every pot, the tarp folds, the wheelbarrow, the dog bowl, the kids' pool, the bird bath, the bucket by the hose. You turn them over or you pour them out. 5 minutes once a week. Here's the trick most people miss, the one worth stopping the video for. The 2 worst hiding spots are the saucer under a potted plant and your gutters. Nobody ever checks either one. Walk your gutters. If there are leaves in them, they are holding water, and that clogged gutter is very likely the single biggest mosquito factory on your whole property, and you cannot even see it from the ground. That one is free, and it does half the work. The second thing is the trap dish, her counterfeit pond. You take a dark container, dark colored, not white. Brown, black, deep green, a dark bucket or a wide clay dish. Dark matters because a female hunting for a nursery is looking for water that looks like the shaded still pools where her kind has bred for millions of years, and a bright white bucket in the sun does not look like home to her. A dark dish in the shade does. You fill it halfway with water, you throw in a handful of grass clippings or a few dead leaves and let them sit a day so the water goes a little cloudy and a little swampy and starts to smell like a real pond. You are not making a mess. You are building a counterfeit pond, the most attractive piece of real estate in the neighborhood as far as she is concerned. Then you sprinkle 1 heaping spoonful of a product called mosquito bits across the top. You do not stir, you do not measure. 1 spoon, floating. What is in those bits is the thing that changes everything, and it is worth understanding. It is a bacterium called Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, and nobody ever says the whole name, so people just call it BTI. It is not a chemical. It is a living thing, found in soil all over the world, first pulled out of a still desert pond back in the 1970s. And it is remarkable because it kills exactly one kind of creature. When a mosquito wriggler eats a speck of it, it gets a hole in its gut, and it is dead within a day. It works on mosquito larvae, blackfly larvae, and fungus gnat larvae. And that is the entire list. It does not harm bees. It does not harm butterflies. It does not harm the dragonflies or the fish or the frogs that eat mosquitoes. It will not hurt your dog if she drinks from the dish. The reason it is so exact is that a mosquito larva's gut has a special chemistry, and the BTI only switches on in that exact chemistry. A bee's gut is different. Yours is different, so it walks right past everything else and ends only the wrigglers. $17 for a jar. One spoon lasts 2 to 4 weeks in the dish, then you sprinkle another. Set the dish away from where you sit, never next to it, because the whole point is to pull her to the far corner and away from your skin. The third thing is for the water you cannot pour out. The rain barrel. A low spot in the yard that floods after a storm. A pretty bird bath you want to keep. For those, they make the very same BTI in a hard ring that looks like a little brown donut, sold as mosquito dunks. You just drop one in. One dunk treats about 100 square feet of water and lasts about a month. And go back to those gutters and sprinkle a spoon of the bits straight into them every few weeks. That shuts down the hatchery you cannot see. The fourth thing is her evening ring. And this is where the chrysanthemums come in. At dusk, Mrs. Sato lights a green spiral of incense called Katori Senko and sets it on the porch in a little pig-shaped clay holder her mother gave her. The smoke keeps a ring around you clear while you sit, and the story of it is real. A Japanese man named Eiichiro Wayama first made these back in 1890 from the powder of dried chrysanthemum flowers, which is a natural insect killer called pyrethrum. His wife Yuki was the one who, in 1895, after seeing a snake curled up in their storehouse, told him to wind the incense into a spiral so it would burn slow and low for about 7 hours instead of burning out in minutes. People have used it for over 100 years. It comes from a flower. Light one upwind of where you sit, not downwind, so the smoke drifts over you. That is the trick. And for the grown mosquitoes resting in the daytime, take a pump sprayer, mix in a plant oil repellent, and spray the underside of your shrubs and the shady side of the fence where they hide from the heat, but never the blooms, because you do not want to chase off the bees. Do the resting places, not the open air. Now let me pull back, because this is bigger than an itchy ankle, and Mrs. Sato was the one who made me see it. The mosquito is the deadliest animal on the whole earth. Not the shark, not the snake, not the bear. The mosquito. And it is not close. She carries West Nile virus, which now shows up in nearly every state in this country. She carries dengue, which is climbing every year as the summers grow longer. And in other parts of the world, she still carries malaria, which kills around 600,000 people a year, most of them small children. So this is not a game. This is the most dangerous creature any of us will ever meet, and she was born in the saucer under your flower pot. Then there is the money. And this is the part that makes me a little angry when I think about all those trucks I paid for. The whole system Mrs. Sato taught me, the walking, the trap dish, the dunks, the coil, all of it together, costs less than one single visit from that fogging company, and you run it yourself for the rest of your life. No contract, no monthly bill, no stranger in your yard. A spray company needs you to lose again next month so they can come back and bill you again. A spoonful of BT. I just quietly wins and asks for nothing. And there is the part that matters most to me now. The fog I used to pay for killed everything it touched. It killed the bees that pollinate the garden. It killed the dragonflies and the frogs and the little fish that eat mosquitoes for free. So the very next summer the problem came back worse because I had wiped out my own army and left the enemy to breed. You cannot kill the pest with a tool that also kills the helper. BTI does not. A flower coil does not. Tipping out a dish of water does not. The whole method works with the yard instead of against it, and a yard full of dragonflies and songbirds and little fish is a yard where the mosquito never gets a foothold in the first place. Mrs. Sato said one thing to me that evening that I have never forgotten, and it is really the whole point of everything I have told you. She said, "Jew, you cannot chase the mosquito. You will never catch her. You can only take away her nursery. Do that, and she has nowhere to raise an army against you. Everything else is just picking one enemy soldier off your arm while 1,000 more are hatching quietly behind your back. So here is what I want you to do tonight. Not this weekend. Tonight. Take a jar or a can and walk your yard before the sun goes down, and tip out every dish and bowl and bucket and gutter of standing water you can find. That part is free, and it is half the battle. Then set one dark dish in a corner away from where you sit, half full of water, a handful of grass clippings, and if you have it, 1 spoon of mosquito bits floating on top. And if you have a spiral coil in a drawer, light one on the porch, upwind of your chair, and just sit for a while in the cool of the evening. By this time next week, you will feel the difference on your own skin. Then come tell me. In the comments below, tell me where you live and how bad your mosquitoes are right now, and tell me if you set out a dish. I read everyone, and I want to know if it works for you the way it worked for me. One last thing. Next time, I'm going to show you the trick Mrs. Sato uses to keep the flies off her kitchen table all August long, and it is the strangest one yet. It is a clear glass of water, a single coin dropped in the bottom, and one thing from her pantry you would never in 100 years guess. Her mother did it. Her grandmother did it. And it works better than any strip of sticky paper you can buy. Until then, tip your water, light your coil, and remember what the old woman next door told me. The war was never in the sky. It was always in the water, right there at your feet, waiting for you to look down.